mother had a 12-hour standoff with police at this home just behind me. A few hours ago, she was set free. Flanked by her lawyers, Marianne Godboldo walks out of the Wayne County Jail, taking her first breaths of freedom since her 12-hour standoff with police last week.
I'm very excited to be out, to be reunited with my daughter. I'm loving these wonderful ladies for working so tireless for me, and Mr. Ron Scott as well. All of the community, I thank you so very much for coming out. I really, really appreciate it.
The 56-year-old mother ended up behind bars after police say she shot at them when they tried to take her daughter into custody. Godboldo stayed silent when we asked her if she indeed opened fire on officers. Why open fire?
What we're going to do tomorrow we'll have a more expansive statement.
Godboldo's ordeal began last Thursday at her home here on Blaine when Child Protective Services came to take custody of her 13-year-old daughter, accusing Godboldo of not giving her medication for a mental condition. Godboldo would not give up the child. Police were called, broke down her door, and that's when officers say Godboldo shot at them. A standoff ensued.
She didn't open fire.
There was no shot fired.
Well, that is a legal issue that is not.
That's alleged. I'm sorry, Allison.
Right, that's an allegation.
Godboldo's bond was originally set at $500,000 last Sunday, but a new judge today reduced it to a $200,000 personal bond. Godboldo did not have to put up any cash. And Godboldo's attorney also says that police did not have a warrant or any court documents when they came here to the home last week. But we talked to police just a few minutes ago. They say they had a writ, which is a court order, which allowed them to go into that home. They say they even showed it to some of the family members of Godboldo, but that warrant was did not exist, according to the attorneys. As for the custody of the young girl, the 13-year-old, there is a hearing early next month. We'll keep you posted. Reporting live on Detroit's West Side, I'm Tom Wade, Channel 7 Action News.
We now have the backstory on this. Many of the reports in the newspapers are saying that there's no evidence she shot at him. I've seen SWAT teams in Texas being caught repeatedly in Austin. Also, a case in Midland where the cop shot their own cop in the back and then blamed the guy who didn't have a gun. I don't believe anything comes out of their mouths anymore because normally with government it's a lie. Maybe there's a chance she did, but I don't believe she'd ever would even gotten out of jail if that was the case. But here's the issue. Because of a birth defect, the state, when she was born, demanded they cut off her foot. Then she swam, sang, danced, was happy, was a homeschooler. Then when she got into middle school, she said, I want to go to public school to meet people. They demanded she be given vaccinations. There's no law you have to, but they lied and made her take vaccinations. Then she had an autoimmune response and threw a fit. And so then they demanded that she be put on Prozac-type drugs. She began acting out of character, being irritated, having facial grimaces, and being associated with immunizations, told the Detroit News. So then they said that she's got to go on the Prozac-type drugs. She said no, so they came to take her to put her on the drugs. And this is how it works, folks. In many areas of the country now, not just Illinois, you can't pack a lunch. They say, we don't trust you. No, you can't feed your child. They're trying to take people's children if they say they're overweight. Look, folks, this is the end of parenthood. This is the end of parents. That's what the TSA abusing children. I've seen at the airports. They pull them out and women out. Over and over again, they're breaking the weakest or the people that can't resist will, who are more compliant. They're breaking their will first. As Hitler said, first you get the women, then you got the children, so follow the men. You got the women. That's why 80% or more of advertising targets women. Well, women purchase most stuff at the grocery store. They make most decisions on small ticket items and have just about as much decision on homes and cars. Women run the world. The New World Order runs women. And they run men, too. Men are busy, watching sports and acting like 5-year-olds. Okay, we'll be right back with a ton of other key news. Third hour straight ahead. SWAT attacks home school mom for refusing to force med the child. They forced vaccinations earlier on her. She'd been homeschooled until middle school. Even the Detroit Free Press and others report she had an excellent record in the community, known as upstanding, no criminal record, but her motherly natural instincts kicked in when the school demanded they put her on an unapproved psychotropic drug. When she got a court order from Wayne County Circuit Court that it was an experimental drug and that the school could not force her to take it, the CPS said, "We got men in black uniforms. Forget the courts. Launch attack." And that's how it works. And the standoff ended, the 10 to 12-hour standoff ended. There's different reports when a judge told her over the phone and as well. Well, I should probably just read this article here instead of just picking through it here. She sought help from the Children's Center, an organization claiming to help families with at-risk children. Of course, they just called the CPS. The school did, and told relatives that medications ordered by the doctor worsened symptoms, including behavioral problems. When she refused, the mother refused to give her child the prescribed medication. Child Protective Services became involved. CPS obtained a warrant to remove the child because the mother reportedly refused to surrender the child to the state. Police claim the mother discharged a firearm in her apartment during the standoff, and that's when SWAT team was called in. Her attorney, Allison Folmar, that's who we got to get a hold of, claims her client never shot at police. Notice the news didn't get that quote for you. In a report in the Voice of Detroit, which reports that the police sent the Detroit Special Response Team officers who descended on the home with a tank and assault weapons. Video footage shows individual officers stalking and staking out the house, taking over behind trees with their weapons, as in a military operation, reports Health Impact Daily News. The Detroit News reports that the mother has an excellent reputation in her community, and during a 10-hour standoff, many people from the community offered to help with the negotiations, including ministers and community activists. Wayne Circuit Judge Deborah Thomas finally convinced the mother to surrender with a promise her daughter would be turned over to the relatives. And, of course, the same judge had issued the order they couldn't drug her. We don't care about judges. We got uniforms and machine guns. Family members, however, say the girl was grabbed by the state regardless of the promise. Well, the government promises. You can bet it ain't going to happen. They just ignored the judge. The mother, God Boldo, was arraigned Sunday before the 36th District Magistrate, Sidney Barthwell, Jr., on charges of firing a weapon in a dwelling. So it's not that they even say that she shot at the cops. She shot in the house, and that's denied. Felonious assault, resisting and obstructing an officer, and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. Her bond was set at $500,000. I remember the Branch Davidians were found not guilty of shooting at police and arson, but then they were found guilty of using firearms in the commission of a crime, though no other crime was, there was no other conviction for another crime. And when the Supreme Court ruled that all of the Davidians be released, they weren't released for many years. See, this is how corrupt the system is. Just I see a little trick there they're doing. I'm shocked by the amount of bond. I never dreamed it would be set so high. She wouldn't be free to care for her daughter, said an outraged Deborah Thomas. Child Protective Services was trying to force her child to take a dangerous medication against her will. We have been able to get a court order signed by Wayne County Circuit Judge stating that the administration of the drug, which is not approved by the FDA in such cases. That's why they put her in Hawthorne, so they could dope her up. Family attorney Allison Folmer told the media. This case is yet another example of CPS working in league with the police in order to kidnap children. She was obviously an excellent mother and not a threat to the police. The fact that they sent a tank to her apartment is more evidence that the state will react in a violent, knee-jerk fashion when its authority is challenged. Yeah, it's about breaking our will. So there you go. First they lie and shoot her up with vaccine. Suddenly she starts having problems because of it. That's even in the vaccine inserts. It can cause that. Then they want to dope her up. She doesn't want to dope her up. Here comes the SWAT team. We'll teach you. We'll be right back. Your phone call straight ahead, 800-259-9231.